Success doesn't begin with talent, resources, or luck. It begins in the quiet places of the mind where belief is born. Before any achievement is visible to the world, it is first formed in thought. The greatest illusion people fall for is that success is about having the right timing or the perfect opportunity. But if that were true, then everyone given the same tools would rise equally. And they don't. Some people take the same situation and soar, while others sink. Why? Because the difference doesn't lie outside, it lies within. It lies in how a person thinks, how they process struggle, how they bounce back after defeat, and how they talk to themselves when no one is watching. That's the birthplace of true success. Many people are conditioned to chase surface-level strategies. They search for new tactics, new systems, new hacks. And while strategy has value, it only works if the person applying it has the right mental foundation. A plan is useless if the mind behind it is full of fear, self-doubt, or hesitation. Skill can take you far, but without mindset, it will never take you all the way. Because when obstacles rise, and they will, it's not your talent that carries you. It's your mental strength. It's your ability to stay grounded when nothing is working. It's your refusal to quit, even when the progress feels invisible. Success is not found in the comfort of the easy. It's built in the moments when most people would walk away. Mindset is the unseen force that quietly separates those who make it from those who only wish they could. It's the invisible engine driving every action, every reaction, every choice. A person who has mastered their mindset shows up differently. They speak with clarity. They move with purpose. They don't wait for permission, and they're not paralyzed by failure. Even if they fall 10 times, their mind is wired to rise 11. That kind of inner wiring doesn't come from books alone. It comes from daily mental training, challenging your own thoughts, choosing courage over comfort, and creating a belief system that supports your vision rather than sabotages it. There's a reason two people with the same abilities and opportunities end up in very different places. It's because one of them mastered the inner game. One of them decided that no matter what happens outside, they will not break inside. That person doesn't need perfect conditions. They make the conditions perfect by how they show up. They don't wait for motivation. They create momentum through discipline. And that discipline flows from a strong, focused, and deeply conditioned mindset. Every great accomplishment you've ever admired was not born from talent alone. It was driven by a powerful mind, a mind that chose growth over fear, a mind that refused to stay small, a mind that saw challenges not as barriers, but as doors to be kicked open. So if success is the destination, mindset is the vehicle. Without it, the journey is stalled before it even begins. Without it, skill sits idle. Dreams remain distant. But with the right mindset, even average skill becomes unstoppable. Because when the mind is right, the body follows. The behavior follows. The results follow. That's the secret truth no one emphasizes enough. Success is not just about doing, it's about becoming. And that becoming starts in the mind long before the world ever sees the outcome. The real work, the deep work, begins where no one else is looking, in the way you think, believe, and decide who you are. Skill is important, no doubt. It refines your edge and gives your efforts precision. But skill alone has limits. It cannot carry you through moments when your confidence wavers or when your plans fall apart. This is where mindset becomes the real differentiator. Truth most people avoid is this: the majority of what determines success isn't what you know, it's how you think. You can have all the technical knowledge in the world, but if your thinking is weak, your actions will reflect that weakness. Mindset governs how you handle pressure, how you recover from setbacks, and how you continue to move forward when others have stopped. It's the part of you that no one can measure but everyone can feel, and it's the part that determines whether you rise or fall when the weight gets heavy. 80% of your outcome is psychological. It's how you talk to yourself when no one else is cheering. It's how you wake up with discipline when your emotions scream for rest. It's the mindset that reminds you why you started when progress feels invisible. Without it, skill sits unused. Without it, opportunities pass by unnoticed. The world is filled with talented people who never rise because their mindset wasn't trained to endure the grind. Talent got them started, but their thinking couldn't carry them when it got hard. And make no mistake, it always gets hard. Every path to success is paved with obstacles, delays, doubts, and demands. The only thing strong enough to carry you through all of that is a mind that refuses to surrender. Mindset isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing the difficulty and pushing through anyway. It's the inner strength that says, even if it takes longer, even if no one claps, even if I fail 10 times, I will not stop. That's what separates achievers from dreamers. Mindset is the quiet, invisible advantage. It doesn't look impressive on paper, but it changes everything in motion. When your mind is strong, consistent action becomes natural. Resilience becomes your reflex. And suddenly, success is no longer a question of if, it becomes a matter of when. Every outcome you experience begins with a thought. Before you take a step, make a decision, or speak a word, the mind has already whispered a command. What you believe shapes what you attempt, and what you attempt shapes what you achieve. If your thoughts are filled with doubt, fear, or hesitation, then your actions will mirror that uncertainty. You'll hold back, play small, or give up too early. But if your mind is trained to believe in possibility, to imagine growth, to expect better, then that belief will transform into motion. That motion becomes effort, and that effort becomes reality. The difference between progress and stagnation isn't always about effort. It's about the thoughts fueling the effort. When your mind is focused, clear, and grounded in belief, you begin to move differently. You approach challenges with confidence. You pursue goals with persistence. You become the kind of person who expects results and takes the steps to earn them. Your internal world is constantly shaping your external results. Most people spend their lives trying to fix their habits, hoping that will lead to change. But habits are only the surface. They are the echo of something deeper. It's the thought patterns behind the habit that must shift first. If you think you're not good enough, your efforts will reflect that belief. If you constantly anticipate failure, you'll unconsciously steer toward it. But if you think with strength, you'll act with strength. If your inner dialogue is focused, constructive, and resilient, your outer results will rise to match it. This is not just about being positive, it's about becoming powerful from within. That power grows when you begin to choose your thoughts intentionally instead of letting your mind be ruled by fear or old programming. The mind is a tool, and like any tool, it must be sharpened. Left unchecked, it will run wild with anxiety, self-doubt, and hesitation. But when you take control of your thinking, when you train your focus, your self-talk, and your vision, the mind becomes your most valuable ally. It doesn't just help you survive, it helps you win. And once you win in the mind, it's only a matter of time before your life catches up. Belief is one of the most powerful forces a human being can possess, and yet it's the least discussed. It's not loud. It doesn't always show up in big, dramatic moments, but it's constantly working behind the scenes, shaping every decision you make. If you believe you can grow, you will. If you believe you're capable, you'll take bold action. If you believe success is possible for you, you'll begin to walk in that direction with quiet certainty. Belief is not just about hoping for the best. It's about knowing deep within yourself that what you want is already yours in spirit. And now it's just a matter of alignment, effort, and time. When belief is strong, nothing external can fully shake you. You may get delayed, you may fall down, but your internal compass always points forward. On the other hand, a person without belief will constantly need external validation. They'll only move when others applaud. They'll only try when the risk is low. They'll hesitate at every challenge, needing guarantees and safety before committing. That kind of life never leads to greatness. The truth is, belief must come before results. You don't get to wait for evidence before you believe. It's your belief that creates the evidence. Every successful person you've ever admired began with a moment of internal decision. The quiet but powerful choice to believe even when no one else did. That belief gave them energy when the path felt uncertain. It gave them courage when fear crept in. And it gave them endurance when the journey tested them beyond their limits. The world is filled with people who have skills, talents, and ideas, but very few of them believe deeply in themselves. That's why they never activate their full potential. They hold back, they wait, they second guess. But when belief is locked in, hesitation disappears. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You just need to be the one who believes the longest, fights the hardest, and refuses to give up on themselves. That's what belief does. It gives you the edge that talent alone cannot. It becomes the foundation of every move you make, and it transforms your ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Self-doubt is one of the most deceptive enemies of progress. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It hides behind logic, pretending to protect you from failure, when in reality it's stealing your future. It shows up as hesitation before a decision, as fear disguised as caution, as endless overthinking masked as preparation. The problem is, most people never confront it. They accept it as truth. They let those thoughts of "I'm not ready" or "I'm not good enough" take root. And once doubt takes root, it spreads fast. It poisons confidence, weakens action, and quietly convinces you to play small. The tragic part is that people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they listen to the wrong voice inside their head. A weak mindset doesn't fight back. It entertains the doubts, feeds them, and lets them dictate behavior. But a strong mindset knows better. It recognizes that doubt is part of the journey, but not the end of it. It learns how to observe the fear without obeying it. It knows that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to act in spite of it. You must become the kind of person who no longer negotiates with doubt. You must starve it of your attention and replace it with conviction. Conviction isn't blind, it's a choice, a daily choice to stand in your own corner, even when the outcome is uncertain, even when the odds look impossible. Most dreams don't die because they're unrealistic. They die because people didn't trust themselves long enough to bring them to life. They gave up halfway. They believed the doubt more than the desire. But the ones who make it, the ones who cross the line, are not always the most talented. They're the most mentally resilient. They've built a mindset so solid that even when doubt knocks, they don't answer. They move anyway. They persist anyway. And eventually, the doubt gets quieter while the results get louder. That's the true test of inner power, not the absence of doubt, but the refusal to let it lead. The mind, when it holds a clear vision, becomes a force of nature. Most people struggle not because they lack the ability to succeed, but because their minds are filled with noise, confusion, distraction, and emotional clutter. They wake up each day reacting instead of directing, pulled in every direction without clarity of purpose. But when the mind is aligned with a specific vision, everything changes. The distractions lose their grip. The excuses become irrelevant. Clarity gives birth to power. When you know exactly where you're going, the journey doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels inevitable. That's the kind of mental focus that separates high achievers from those who stay stuck. They don't need motivation every morning because their vision pulls them. It becomes the fire that fuels their discipline. Focus isn't just about ignoring distractions. It's about choosing what matters most and committing to it relentlessly. When the mind is trained to eliminate the unnecessary, it becomes dangerously efficient. You stop wasting time on things that don't align with your mission. You stop entertaining relationships, habits, and thoughts that pull you off course. Focus creates a kind of inner silence that allows you to hear your purpose more clearly. And once you hear it, you begin to trust it. You move through life with a kind of quiet intensity, knowing that your direction is not random, it's rooted in something meaningful. That's how the most successful people operate. They aren't just busy, they are precise. Without focus, even the strongest mindset becomes scattered. You might have belief, drive, and talent, but if your attention is constantly divided, your progress will be slow and inconsistent. Success demands that you protect your mental space with everything you've got, that you train your focus like an athlete trains their body, daily, intentionally, and without compromise. Because when your vision becomes clear, your decisions become simple. You no longer need to chase every opportunity. You only chase the right ones. That's the power of a focused mind. It doesn't just help you stay on the path, it helps you own it. Mental discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you build, one choice at a time. And while most people wait for inspiration to act, the few who rise above understand that action must lead inspiration, not follow it. They don't rely on how they feel in the moment. They move based on what they've committed to, not what they're emotionally comfortable with. This is the difference between those who occasionally succeed and those who are consistent. Emotional discipline is what separates wishful thinking from real achievement. Because your emotions will lie to you. They will tell you that you're too tired, too discouraged, or too behind. But discipline isn't about how you feel, it's about what you've decided. The strongest minds don't wait for permission from their mood. They act whether they feel like it or not. They've trained themselves to honor discipline above emotion. That doesn't mean they ignore feelings. It means they don't obey every feeling that shows up. They have a deeper loyalty to their vision, to their standard, to their future. And they understand that every time they choose action over comfort, they're not just making progress. They're strengthening their identity. They're becoming the kind of person who follows through. And when you believe you are someone who follows through, your self-respect grows. Your confidence increases, and you begin to build real, unshakable momentum. It's not glamorous. It's not always exciting, but it works. Discipline, day by day, compounds. And that compound effect is where the real transformation happens. While others are starting and stopping, giving up and restarting, you're quietly building something permanent. You're creating a mind that doesn't need external motivation because it's anchored by internal conviction. You don't need to be in the mood. You need to be in motion. Because the more you move forward despite resistance, the less control resistance has over you. That's when you begin to feel truly powerful, not because life gets easier, but because you've become stronger than the difficulty. There is an undeniable link between how you think and how you respond when things don't go as planned. Setbacks are not just part of the journey, they are the journey. And the way you interpret those moments reveals everything about your mindset. For most people, obstacles feel like roadblocks. They see failure as the end, as confirmation that they weren't meant for something greater. But those who succeed view failure through a different lens. To them, setbacks are not signs to stop. They're signals to refine, to adjust, to grow. A setback doesn't weaken their resolve. It strengthens it. They've trained their mind to extract power from pain. Every disappointment becomes a lesson. Every delay becomes a sharpening of purpose. That kind of mindset doesn't crumble under pressure. It expands. When life gets hard, and it always will, it's not your skills that determine your survival. It's the internal conversation you have with yourself. The mind, when untrained, will default to excuses and victimhood. It will blame circumstances, timing, or other people. But a disciplined mind takes ownership. It looks at the situation and says, "'Tis may be hard, but I am harder." That's not arrogance. It's resilience. It's knowing that you are not defined by what happens to you, but by how you respond to it. That response is everything. It shapes your path. It decides whether you move forward, stand still, or retreat. This is why your mindset must be prepared before the challenge arrives. In moments of stress, you don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your preparation. If you've built a weak mental foundation, the storm will expose it. But if you've strengthened your thinking daily, if you've trained yourself to look beyond the pain and find the purpose, then nothing can truly break you. Setbacks then become setups. Failure becomes feedback. And adversity becomes your greatest teacher. That's the mindset of a winner, not someone who avoids struggle, but someone who transforms it into strength. Visualization is not just a feel-good practice, it's mental conditioning. It is the deliberate training of the mind to see what the eyes have not yet witnessed. When you visualize your goal with intensity, detail, and repetition, you're not simply fantasizing. You're programming your subconscious to believe in a future that hasn't arrived yet. The brain doesn't know the difference between something vividly imagined and something actually experienced. This is why visualization works so powerfully. It tricks the mind into becoming familiar with success before it even happens. And once your mind accepts a new level as normal, you'll begin to act in alignment with that vision. You'll take risks more confidently. You'll speak with more certainty. You'll move as though the outcome is inevitable. But most people don't use this tool. They use their imagination to rehearse fear. They visualize everything that could go wrong. They play mental movies of failure, rejection, embarrassment, and then wonder why they hesitate when opportunities arise. If your mind has rehearsed defeat more than its rehearsed victory, it's no surprise when your behavior reflects that. You move cautiously. You shrink your efforts. You sabotage your momentum. That's the power of imagination. It either works for you or against you, depending on how you train it. The most successful minds in the world don't just hope for success. They mentally live it every day. They've seen themselves winning long before the world sees them win. They've visualized overcoming the resistance, crossing the finish line, achieving the impossible. That mental repetition conditions them to believe, and that belief fuels extraordinary action. If you want to win in real life, you have to first win in your mind. Create that vision. Hold it. Repeat it. See it in such detail that your brain begins to crave the reality of it. Then move, relentlessly, boldly, with total alignment. Because once the mind has accepted the image of success, the body will follow. That's not magic. That's mindset mastery. Confidence isn't something you wait to feel. It's something you create through repetition, through integrity, and through follow-through. The more you keep promises to yourself, the more you trust yourself. And trust is the root of confidence. People often think confidence is loud, boastful, or rooted in perfection, but real confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself. It walks into a room with calm certainty, not because everything is guaranteed to work, but because the person walking in knows they will figure it out regardless. That level of self-assurance is not built overnight. It's built through deliberate mental training. You create it every time you do the hard thing, every time you silence your doubts and act anyway. With each act of courage, you chip away at insecurity. With each disciplined decision, you plant another seed of self-belief. Too many people try to feel confident before they act, but that's backwards. Action comes first. Confidence is the reward for moving despite discomfort. Every time you wait until you feel ready, you weaken your confidence. You're training yourself to only act under perfect conditions. But those conditions rarely come. The people who get ahead are not the ones who wait. They're the ones who move, fall, learn, and grow. And as they grow, so does their belief in themselves. Not because they never failed, but because they stopped letting failure define them. That kind of mindset is unshakable. It's not dependent on compliments, applause, or external validation. It's built from the inside out. You become powerful when your confidence no longer comes from what others think, but from what you know about yourself. And what you know is built through experience, discipline, and repetition. You've seen yourself push through fear. You've seen yourself do what others avoid. You've proven to yourself that you're not a prisoner of doubt or fear. That's where real confidence is born, not in pretending to be fearless, but in being brave enough to move forward anyway. Confidence is a decision. It's choosing belief over hesitation, conviction over comfort, and progress over perfection. Make that decision daily, and you'll no longer need to search for confidence. It will begin to follow you. Success is not a moment, it's a system. And that system runs on consistent habits. The mind, if not trained through structure, will default to chaos. You'll fall into patterns of procrastination, distraction, and emotional reactivity. That's why building a daily routine that strengthens your mindset is non-negotiable. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And if your daily system is weak, your long-term results will reflect that. The strongest minds are not born. They're engineered through repetition. They are shaped by intentional habits that reinforce belief, focus, clarity, and discipline. This is where most people lose the battle. They want the results, but they resist the structure required to earn them. Your mindset must be fed daily. Just as the body needs fuel, the mind needs reinforcement. That means feeding it with powerful thoughts, surrounding it with empowering voices, and eliminating the noise that weakens your focus. It means scheduling your growth instead of hoping for it. Morning routines, mental priming, journaling, visualization, goal setting, these are not luxury rituals. They are survival tools in a world built to distract and discourage. They keep your mind anchored in who you're becoming, rather than who you've been. Without this daily mental training, you'll be pulled back into old patterns, no matter how badly you want to change. The truth is, greatness isn't found in occasional bursts of effort. It's found in what you do repeatedly, especially when no one is watching. It's found in the choices you make on the hard days, in the disciplines you refuse to break, and in the mindset you refuse to compromise. Systems create freedom. When your mental habits are aligned with your goals, your future stops being a fantasy. It becomes inevitable. That's the quiet magic of consistency. It doesn't show immediate fireworks, but over time it becomes unstoppable. The world might not notice your discipline at first, but eventually it will have no choice but to respect your results. The truth about success is this: it's not for the most talented, the most connected, or even the most intelligent. It's for the most committed, the ones who decide deep in their soul that they will not quit, that no matter how long it takes, no matter how many times they fall, they will rise again. That's what makes someone unstoppable, not their circumstances, not their background, but their inner vow. Success isn't just about reaching a destination. It's about who you become on the way. Every challenge, every delay, every setback is shaping your character, testing your resolve, refining your spirit. And if you stay committed through it all, you don't just win, you evolve. You become the kind of person who can hold success, not just chase it. Most people don't fail because they aim too high. They fail because they quit too soon. They confuse difficulty with impossibility. They walk away when the path gets dark, forgetting that every journey worth taking demands endurance. The truth is, the moment you decide not to give up, you've already separated yourself from the majority. You've stepped into a different category, the category of the relentless. These are the people who succeed not because they had everything figured out, but because they refused to surrender to their doubts. They kept showing up. They kept building, learning, growing. They trusted the process even when it felt slow. And that trust paid off. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to keep moving, one step, one decision, one disciplined action at a time. The combination of a focused mind, unwavering belief, mental resilience, and consistent execution will take you further than any shortcut ever could. The secret truth about success is this: it was never just about skills, it was always about mindset. And when your mindset is right, everything else begins to align. That's when the world starts to respond. That's when opportunities open. And that's when you realize you were never waiting on success. Success was waiting on you.